Come on in here and keep me
Okay.
warm.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, are we ready? Sure.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. My name is Patrick Noaker. I'm an attorney in St. Paul, Minnesota. We're here at a press conference because Jerry McCarthy, or Jeremiah, but he goes by Jerry McCarthy, just filed a lawsuit here against St. John's Abbey and the Benedictines related to sexual abuse that he experienced at St. John's Prep in 1971. Okay? This lawsuit that we filed today relates to fraud that St. John's perpetrated on Jerry, his family, and all the students at St. John's Prep when he was there in 1970. We have 2 counts of fraud because St. John's defrauded this family regarding Bruce Wollmering, who was a psychologist at St. John's Prep. St. John's represented to this family that Bruce Wollmering, Father Wollmering, was safe around children, and in fact Jerry was required to go see him, and they did some kind of academic testing, and ultimately Father Wollmering ended up sexually abusing Jerry, as a result of these meetings. St. John's gave Father Wollmering unsupervised access to children, despite the fact that they knew he was a child molester and that they knew that he'd had some problem with boys before. And of course, they didn't tell Jerry or his family. Had they told Jerry or his family, he obviously would have never allowed himself to be alone with Father Wollmering. In addition to that, you'll read in the lawsuit that not only was it just about Father Wollmering, when we dug just a little deeper, we found, in fact, that St. John's had an entire system of defrauding people about their priests, and that, in fact, we list 11 priests in the complaint about whom they had information had been sexually abusive to kids, and that they, in fact, concealed that from the public and from kids and students. Again, had Jerry's family known that St. John's had this many child molesters on their staff, he'd have never gone to school there. His parents would have never sent him to school there. So that's what this lawsuit is about today.
I guess it kind of sounds like there's an alleged cover-up here. What, without going too into detail on what you're going to present to the court, what can you tell us about that and how it worked?
Well, what I can tell you is that St. John's had an entire culture of concealment of sexual misconduct by their priests. And they had numerous priests at the Abbey, at St. John's Prep, and at St. John's University who were sexually abusing kids, and that they just consistently, year after year, we have chronicled from the mid-60s into the mid-80s here, just in this lawsuit alone, of just 20 years of concealment. And what they did that so that they could keep students coming and keep tuition being paid, by those students. Obviously, had it gotten out, people wouldn't have kept sending their kids there because they would have been in danger. So that's I can tell you that that's what we know now. I have been contacted by 2 monks who were monks at St. John's, who in fact are here to support Jerry because they confirmed in fact that this concealment was overt and intentional at St. John's. This was not an accidental. This was not something that they just negligently, didn't report properly. This was intentional concealment of sexual misconduct by their priests.
And this lawsuit is unprecedented because of who you're suing on.
Right. This is the first fraud case, we believe, against St. John's.
Against St. John's.
Yes. So.
My name is Jerry McCarthy. I'm here today with my attorney to file a fraud case against St. John's Abbey in regards to the fraud they committed that led to my being sexually molested by Father Bruce Wollmering in 1971.
Can you tell us about what happened?
I was sent to Father Wollmering for counseling testing in the fall of 1971. And during that process of evaluating the answers on my tests, we were sitting in his office where the molestation occurred.
And how old?
I was 16.
Jay, why come forward now? Is there a timing thing that you?
Well, the way it happened is I read Father Wollmering's obituary in the newspaper. He died last February. And I read his obituary in the newspaper. Just out of curiosity, I Googled his name just to see, because I had not had any touch in contact with him since this had happened. And I learned a lot of stuff. I learned what he had done the rest of his career. I learned about a website run by Pat Marker where other victims have told their stories about being abused at St. John's. And I spent about a half an hour reading, looking through his website, and decided right then and there, that night, I sat down and typed out my story and sent it to him.
When you started working with Pat and you learned more about what had gone on at the university or in the Abbey, as far as cover-ups are concerned, what was your reaction? What were your thoughts when you heard the
Well,
story?
I had heard some of these stories over the years, so I guess I wasn't surprised. I was surprised about the depth of it, and I only learned a few days ago that St. John's Abbey knew about Bruce Wollmering, Father Wollmering, and his behavior with kids, so that was kind of a surprise to me too. I mean, I didn't know that the Abbey was aware of what he was doing back then.
For you, the goal of the goal of the lawsuit would be what?
To help other people. Hopefully they'll even come forward, get some help, and just have the information come up.
What's it done to your life?
Well, it sent me in a path that didn't, help me out that much in my life. I could have done different things, made better decisions. I didn't, especially immediately after it all happened. I ended up courting St. John's because of it, and they ended up dropping out of high school, got a GED instead, and never did go.
Did this change your personal relationship with God and with your feelings towards the Catholic Church?
Definitely. I was raised Catholic. I come from a large Catholic family, and we went to church every Sunday and catechism classes and all that. My mom was very religious, and it definitely changed my idea of not only the church, religion, priests, but yes, God too.
Okay, in about 2002, 2003, St. John's, or the Benedictines, they came out with this PR statement that they have a policy on how to respond to sexual abuse. And within that policy, they say if any of their Benedictines have served or are serving in any parishes, in any diocese, that they will go there and reach out. They've only done it once, and that was in St. Bartholomew in Wayzata. If you contact them today and ask them such a question, Michael Bick, who lives out here on supposed restrictions, who taught for 11 years at St. Stephen's in Anoka. If you have a written policy, how come you have not been there to reach out to those that have been harmed? And they would tell you the bishop didn't give us permission. So this song and dance, all words document that's supposed to appease everybody, is just that. The Jerrys of the world shouldn't have to crawl out from the shadows to get some healing and recovery. If that institution can recruit the kids when they're adolescent or pre-adolescent, they can sure go to those locations and reach out to the other hundreds upon hundreds of kids that were hunted to go to school there. So if they have a policy, use it. Help us prevent the sexual abuse. Help us assist in the recovery and the prevention of sexual abuse. What I want to point out is a little life experience for me. I grew up in Hector, Minnesota. And I remember 1959, 1960, and 1961 were the altar boys from, in essence, a stretch up and down 212, the Catholic churches, were all brought here, and the effort was to try to recruit us to go to the school there. Knowing what I know today, I'm glad I didn't end up as a young adolescent, teenage kid faced with what I know was going on at St. John's today. And the sad part about it is the person that drove us to St. John's is a serial sex offending priest, diocesan priest.
Do you think this will ever, stop? This has been going on for,
Well, we as a society can stop it and make inroads. The sad part is our religious institutions aren't helping us. Take their head out of the sand and start helping us recover from and prevent the sexual abuse of God's children.